Coming up, there was a smoky haze covering large portions of eastern Kentucky today due to forest fires. How the smoke may be impacting your health. And the youngest elected official in Kentucky is right here in the mountains. We'll introduce you to Logan Sizemore.
Well, some showers could be on the way as soon as tonight. However, the real story is the chill on the way. Those details next as Mountain News at 6 starts now.
Dedicated to eastern and southern Kentucky, this is WYMT Mountain News at 6.
As forest fires continue to burn in several eastern Kentucky communities tonight, medical professionals are responding to public concerns surrounding the health effects of breathing in too much of that smoke. WYMT's Alyssa Williams spoke with medical professionals to learn more.
A smoky haze is covering many parts of the region, which poses many questions regarding our health and well-being.
Not only do we have the concerns for people's property and their lives, but we also have to have the health concerns of our smokers and our asthmatics and people with respiratory problems that are pre-existing.
Primary Care Centers of Eastern Kentucky Medical Director Dr. John Jones says continual smoke inhalation can cause several health issues to arise.
If you sit there and you breathe smoke long term and you do it for several days, you're going to have some long-term effects, whether that's through some scarring or some chronic bronchitis or some chronic cough that may take weeks or months to overcome.
Those with the Perry County Ambulance say even if you are not aware of any respiratory issues you may have, you should still avoid exposing yourself to dense amounts of smoke.
There are people walking around that don't know that they have these certain types of lung illnesses, and it's something like this that's going to really irritate it to the point to where it's going to bring up a reaction that somebody's never had before, and it could cause them to become in a state of panic.
Both Dr. Jones and critical care paramedic John Atkins agree. If you are outside in the smoke for longer periods of time, you should wear an N95 mask.
And I know we're all tired of wearing masks, but in these dire times with all the smoke in the air, it's very important.
Helping to keep people safe in the midst of another eastern Kentucky disaster. In Hazard, Alyssa Williams, WYMT Mountain News.
Dr. Jones says breathing in too much smoke can negatively impact people who've had COVID as well. He says if you're experiencing a cough you cannot get rid of, shortness of breath, or trouble breathing normally, you should seek medical care. Crews in Rockcastle County contained a wildfire late last night. The Mount Vernon Fire Department shared pictures from that scene off Highway 25. They say the fire was near the Christian Appalachian Project property. It took crews from 3 departments 4 hours to get the fire put out. It burned through about 10 acres. No structures were damaged. Governor Andy Beshear gave an update on the fires in eastern Kentucky today during his weekly Team Kentucky update. The governor said as of this morning, Kentucky has 52 active fires across the state in 28 counties, covering more than 6,000 acres. More than 30 of those fires are still burning but are contained. The other 20 are in the process of being contained.
Many counties have burn bans in place. I'm asking each Kentuckian to be responsible and refrain from outdoor burning at this time. Debris burning, campfires, sparks from farm equipment can quickly cause a fire, and we are stretched thin.
The 2 largest fires, both in Estill County, have burned nearly 1,000 acres. That's where a state of emergency was declared earlier in the week. We understand both are now contained. The Kentucky Division of Forestry is working with the U.S. Forest Service to use helicopters for water drops. Nearly 16,000 acres have burned since this fall fire season began back on October 1st. Governor Beshear said 5 state forestry agencies are coming to help contain the fires. Agencies from Virginia, South Carolina, Mississippi, Pennsylvania, and Texas have offered assistance and will be sending fire crews.
What smoke we have hanging in the air this evening is also contributing to, believe it or not, a pretty nice sunset yet again throughout the mountains. as the sun sets just low enough, lower than the kind of high clouds we've been seeing from the remnants of Nicole moving in. We're seeing some of those beautiful shots. There's Mount Vernon along Interstate 75. The lights are on, but you see some of the oranges and pinks there in the background. A beautiful shot from Buffalo Mountain in Perry County. No, that's not a fire. That is the sunset out there, and a beautiful shot there as we head through the rest of the evening. 66 the current reading, by the way. We are finally below 70 at all of our stations throughout the mountains. I hope you enjoyed it, because the 70s are going away for quite a long time. Reason? Well, on the one hand, we have Tropical Storm Nicole. It's just made landfall again, or is about to make landfall again in parts of Florida, and a cold front that's bringing much colder air in our direction. So those showers should overspread the region tonight, help our firefighters out with what they've got going on with some of those extinguishing some of those fires. Low 60s out there for tonight. Details on when we return to more mid-November weather. That's on the way. Steve?
All right, changes ahead. Thank you, Evan. A 16-year-old Eastern Kentuckian is the youngest person elected by voters in the state. He recently won a race in Leslie County. WYMT's Dakota Makris sat down with him to see why he wanted to run for office.
16-year-old Logan Sizemore is just like any other teenager. Like doing math at Leslie County High School, he is a sophomore there. But unlike many teenagers, he was elected to office on Tuesday as a Leslie County Soil and Water Conservation Officer.
Is an officer trying to keep in check and develop all the renewable natural resources in the area.
Logan says he wanted to run because of his love for agriculture. He enjoys growing his garden.
This year, because of the flood, I was delivering for other people, trying to make sure other people's needs were more important than what I was growing.
No matter your age, running for office can be scary, but especially if you are a teenager.
I was kind of afraid of like how people would feel about a 16-year-old running for a political office.
But his community and parents backed him.
Because they knew that if I wanted to do something, that I wholeheartedly wanted to do it.
He tells me he wants to bring change to the county to benefit everyone. In Leslie County, Dakota Makris, WYMT Mountain News.
Logan will begin his 4-year term in January. There is no age requirement to run for the Soil and Water Conservation Office. He tells us he also hopes to start a Future Farmers of America chapter at Leslie County High School. In less than a week, Kentucky's highest court will hear arguments in the case over the state's trigger ban on abortions. It comes after voters rejected Amendment 2, an amendment that looked to keep abortion from being protected by the state constitution. For those who are for abortion rights, it was a victory, but for those who are anti-abortion, it was a disappointment. David Walls with the Family Foundation says they view this as a lost opportunity, but he says pro-life laws are still in effect. On the other side, Jackie McGranahan with the ACLU of Kentucky says they are happy with the results, but still have a lot of work to do.
From our perspective, we do believe the millions of dollars that came in from out of state from the pro-abortion industry with their very deceptive ads, I think sowed a lot of confusion among voters.
Where we're at now, abortion still remains illegal in Kentucky, but this victory left Kentucky's Constitution and the strong privacy protections intact.
Blocking the amendment does not change the current trigger law and 6-week bans that are already in place. 2 top incumbents in Breathitt County have been reelected for another term. WYMT's Olivia Calfee spoke to them today about their excitement for the next 4 years.
Mayor of Jackson Laura Thomas and Breathitt County Judge Executive Jeff Noble were both reelected on Tuesday. Judge Noble says he is excited to have 4 more years to continue focusing on the future.
I love this county, I love these people, and I just want to do my very best to be the best judge that I can be, to be one that shows compassion and love and help.
Mayor Thomas says she is honored to continue serving her community, saying she gets emotional thinking about the amazing people that have kept her going through the recent tragedies they have faced.
We have some awesome people around here, and for all the days that we were going through tragedies, you just have somebody that comes in and just gives you a hug. and that makes it worth it.
Thomas and Noble both say that jobs are extremely important for the future of their community.
The biggest thing and one of the first things, I mean, we got to get some jobs in this county. We got too many people leaving every morning, going to Lexington or Winchester or Georgetown or London. We've got to step up and meet this challenge.
They both also told me that the roads in Breathitt County need help. And Thomas says the paving is approved, they are just waiting on contractors. She also says housing is something she will continue focusing on.
We don't have places for housing, and Breathitt County's situation after the flooding is a little different than the other counties, and where we have land, it's not as accessible.
She says a lot of the land that is accessible, people often don't want to sell. In Breathitt County, Olivia Calfee, WYMT Mountain News.
Both Thomas and Noble also say they are very disappointed with the lack of voting machines and locations this year, causing wait times at the polls to be more than 2 hours at times. Election complaints have not stopped coming in just yet. As of yesterday, there have been 34 post-election complaints. In eastern Kentucky, that number includes 2 from Breathitt, Floyd, and Knott counties, and 1 from Clay, Elliott, Jackson, Knox, and Laurel counties. Complaints range from procedural questions, residency concerns, legal questions, and more. Eastern Kentucky saw a few changes after Tuesday's election, including new representation and more Republican wins. But one Democrat in Eastern Kentucky will continue in her state representative role, saying the ability to work across the aisle will continue to push the work forward. WYMT's Buddy Forbes has more.
The road to Frankfort is still open for Ashley Tackett Lafferty.
Well, one word that I think that I can describe this election with is grateful.
The District 95 state representative was reelected Tuesday, retaining her role and becoming the sole Democrat representing Eastern Kentucky in the House.
The last election cycle, I was the only Democrat who survived the election east of I-75, and this election cycle, it's the same.
Lafferty says she will miss working with fellow Democrat Angie Hatton, whose seat as 94th District Representative will be filled by Republican and Elkhorn City native Jacob Justice. But she looks forward to continuing to rally for her neighbors in Floyd and Pike counties.
It is less about party and more about people, and it is less about left and right and more about what's right and wrong.
She believes her hometown pride fuels every decision she has made as a leader, and she is proud to keep the flame burning.
And I think that people realize that, I was raised here by educators and coal miners and old regular Baptists, and I take my values with me to Frankfort.
Building on every project she has seen planted since being elected in 2018.
But when you see some of these projects coming to fruition, it really makes it all worthwhile.
Focused on the families all around.
If our children have to leave for job opportunities, then that's my fault. But if they choose to leave, then that was their choice. What we want to do is we want to be able to allow them to stay here and bloom where their roots are planted.
And the future ahead. In Floyd County, Buddy Forbes, WYMT Mountain News.
Lafferty says she has faith that Eastern Kentucky's leaders will continue to work together for the good of the region. Coming up, we'll tell you about a crash that left one teenager dead and another injured.
WYMT